Incredible moment, CEO panics as system fails, yet janitor's daughter unveils life-changing fix. The atmosphere buzzed with anxiety in the heart of the tech giant's sleek offices, shadows of panic flickering across the faces of employees as the screens froze. The entire operation was crumbling, and CEO Ryan's grip on the situation faded. Whispers of impending chaos echoed through the hallways, the pressure hanging heavy like a storm cloud over everyone. How could things take such a tumultuous dive? In the corner of that spectacle, 18-year-old Emma, a bright high school senior, sat with a tightened chest. She had accompanied her mother, a dedicated janitor at the firm, for what she thought would be a simple study session. But fate had other plans. An idea blossomed in her mind as the world outside began to unravel. Her mother, a woman forged from resilience, worked tirelessly to provide a better life for her daughter. "Hard work opens doors, Emma," she often said while clearing desks and mopping floors. Emma absorbed those words like the most valuable lesson in life. She imagined her future over and over, her dreams of college swirling in her thoughts like a whirlwind. But here, amidst the panic, she felt that dream slip further away. Then, she heard faint whispers of technical trouble encased in night's shadows as employees vented frustrations after long hours. Emma listened closely, her brain racing, piecing together a solution that could mend the frayed fabric of the company's crisis. Gathering her nerve was a monumental task. As she approached the gathering of experienced tech experts, doubt gnawed at her. A teenage girl with no credentials among seasoned professionals. She could hear the unsaid judgments, the stigma her humble background carried. But with each heartbeat, her mother's unwavering support echoed in her thoughts. Grit over privilege. Determination against adversity. Ignited with purpose, Emma stepped forward, her voice shaky but resolved. I think I have a solution." She felt the weight of silence, eyes turned, skepticism radiating from the crowd. They exchanged glances, whispers dripping with doubt. Was she really going to try to talk over everyone? But it didn't matter. Emma stood firm, fueled by the fire to prove them wrong. "If we modify the main server's algorithm just a bit, I think we can." As she outlined her innovative idea, the initial murmurs shifted. Eyes widened, nods began to surface. Had this girl really sparked something? "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The tide of respect began to roll in Emma's direction, but doubt lurked still. Could her worth really be recognized amidst the swirling chaos? Suddenly, the serenity of the moment sliced through the tension like a hot knife. Emma's solution became a catalyst for change, but could she break through the barriers of bias and fear? With the clock ticking, the stakes were higher than ever. Would Ryan rise above his instinct to overlook her brilliance? Emma could only hope that this moment could redefine not just her future, but the entire landscape for her and those like her. With determination set in her heart, she braced herself for the battle against convention, wondering if this was her moment to shine or a prelude to shadows yet unseen. As Emma stood in front of the crowd, her heart raced like a wild horse, thundering against her ribs. The initial skepticism was fading, but the pressure was palpable. She could see Ryan's brow furrowed, a mix of frustration and curiosity marking his expression. This was the CEO of a tech empire, and yet here she was, a girl who had spent most of her life cleaning the very floors he walked upon, proposing a solution. "Let us hear her out," a voice finally broke through the murmurs. It was Marissa, one of the senior developers, known for her sharp intellect and fierce loyalty. Emma grasped on to that support like a lifeline. Marissa's endorsement ignited a flicker of hope, a chance that maybe, just maybe, she could turn this moment into something monumental. Gathering her thoughts, Emma took a deep breath. "If we adjust the algorithm to streamline incoming data, we could reduce the strain on the server and optimize performance, she explained, her words flowing more confidently now. Each statement was carefully constructed, her knowledge blossoming within the confines of her mind. I know it seems unconventional, but I studied how similar systems work in smaller operations. Ryan's brows softened slightly, and the crowd was hanging on her every word. The tension shifted. Empathy replaced doubt, curiosity filled the room, and the storm cloud that had shrouded the office began to lift. Emma, that's actually an interesting idea, Ryan finally said, his voice steadier. He straightened as he contemplated her suggestion, glancing at Marissa. What do you think? The expert put a finger on her chin, her mind racing with possibilities. It could actually work, Marissa replied, a spark igniting in her eyes. We could run a simulation. Suddenly, the sense of possibility expanded like the breaking dawn. Emma couldn't help the smile spreading across her face as the room buzzed with renewed energy. If we can run it quickly, she added, momentarily losing her shyness, the impact could turn things around within the hour. Ryan's gaze locked onto hers. Let us implement a trial run. Gather a team, and let us see how viable this solution is. Emma's heart soared. She was no longer just the janitor's daughter, she was someone with a voice. The team formed quickly, a swirl of hands tapping keyboards and writing notes, the chaos from before transforming into a symphony of collaboration. As the minutes ticked by, Emma felt a blend of excitement and fear. She was in the thick of things now, leading a team of professionals who could easily scoff at her age and background. But they were listening, respecting her input, and for the first time in a long while, Emma felt an undeniable sense of belonging. But just as the simulation began to process, red lights blinked on the main server's monitor. Panic hit like icy water. No. What is happening? A voice exclaimed, confusion flooding the atmosphere once again. Emma's stomach knotted. This could break everything she had fought for. Could she salvage it? The stakes were higher than ever. Would her breakthrough ideas lead the way, or would she find herself crushed under the weight of failure? With adrenaline coursing through her veins, she looked around at the faces of her colleagues, each pair of eyes reflecting a mix of hope, fear, and potential. She couldn't back down now. This was her moment, and she wouldn't allow fear to eat away what could be a life-changing opportunity for everyone. Let us troubleshoot. Emma shouted over the growing din, her voice carrying a conviction that surprised even herself. I have a few ideas. What was about to unfold could either seal her fate or catapult her beyond her wildest dreams. The team quickly regrouped, and Emma held on to every ounce of determination as they dove back into the fray, ready to confront the unexpected. Could Emma turn this moment around, or was she facing an insurmountable challenge? Only time would tell as the clock ticked down toward their crisis, another storm brewing on the horizon. Emma's pulse quickened as the red lights continued to flash in a chaotic rhythm. The sound of alarms filled the air, a piercing reminder that time was slipping through their fingers. She felt the weight of every pair of eyes on her, a mixture of hope and terror swirling in the small, brightly lit room. Okay, everyone. Emma rallied, her voice steadying against the rising tide of anxiety. We need to isolate the issue. Marissa, can you pull up the logs from the last simulation? Let us see what set off the alerts. Marissa nodded, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she navigated through lines of code. Emma could see the expert's brow furrow. Confident, Emma motioned to the junior developer, Alex, who looked equally anxious. Alex, check the network connections. Sometimes a hiccup can send the whole system into a frenzy. The tension in the room was palpable, but Emma steeled herself, focusing on every detail. As the seconds ticked past, she could hear murmurs and whispers. Sensing doubt, she turned around. We're not defeated yet, she called out, her voice ringing clear. We have the skills, we have the knowledge. We just need to work together. Gradually, the murmurs faded into nods of agreement. Emma felt the power of unity building around her. It was a reminder of why she had fought so hard to be heard. Here. Marissa suddenly exclaimed, the urgency in her voice cutting through the noise. I found a core overlap in the data processing. The new algorithm is colliding with the legacy system. Her eyes sparkled with newfound determination. If we can adjust the input parameters, we might be able to reroute the conflicts. Emma's heart raced again, but this time it was from excitement. Yes. If we can modify it live, we'll have a chance to stabilize the server without a complete reboot. Let us do it. The room hummed with energy as everyone rallied around the new plan. Fingers danced across keyboards like musical, frantic notes in a climactic song. Emma felt a rush of inspiration, guiding her thoughts. Adjust the filters to allow the new data to flow through while keeping the legacy system intact, she urged. As Marissa deftly executed the commands, Emma felt a wave of hope wash over her. The crowd leaned closer, eyes glued to the screen. The chaotic blinking of red lights started to fade, replaced by calm green. Come on, come on. Emma murmured, biting her lip as the seconds dragged out like hours. Then, like magic, the indicators turned solid green. Cheers erupted in the room, the tension evaporating as everyone high-fived and fist-bumped one another. Emma's heart soared. Ryan stepped forward, a wide grin breaking through his previously stern expression. Emma, that was brilliant. You turned the tide just when we needed you. But even with the celebration, a voice inside Emma nagged at her. She had turned this moment around, but what would happen next? Could she maintain this newfound respect? Would they really see her as one of them? As her colleagues patted her on the back and expressed their gratitude, Emma stole a sidelong glance at Ryan. The twinkle in his eye made her pulse race. I want to discuss the next phase of this project, Emma, he said, mesmerizing her with his steady gaze. We need your insights going forward. Suddenly, she was left scared and exhilarated at the same time. Could she continue leading this charge? Was she prepared for the spotlight that now lingered over her like a summer sun? As the excitement continued to buzz around her, Emma knew she had to face more than just systems and algorithms. She was on the brink of something bigger, and she wasn't sure she was ready. What would her first real challenge be? Would she rise up or crumble under the expectations? The path ahead was uncertain, but Emma was ready to find out. Emma woke the next morning to the sound of her phone buzzing incessantly on the bedside table. The sun streamed through the curtains, spilling warm light across her room. She rubbed her eyes, trying to shake off the remnants of sleep, but her mind was already racing with thoughts from the previous day's crisis. With a groan, she finally picked up the phone, squinting at the notifications. Messages flooded in from her colleagues, all praising her quick thinking and great leadership. While it felt good to be recognized, the pressure of their admiration settled heavily on her shoulders. Could she live up to it? As she quickly got ready for the day, each article she read about the project made her heart race. There was talk of potential advancements, maybe even accolades if they managed to implement new systems effectively. She couldn't help but smile at the thought. But then she paused. What if she messed it up? Doubts crept in, swirling and gripping her like fog. Arriving at work, Emma felt a buzz of energy around her. Her teammates poured in, chatting excitedly about the success they had just achieved. Marissa and Alex were already deep in conversation with Ryan. Emma's pulse quickened as she approached them. Hey! Great job yesterday, Emma. Marissa said, bouncing with excitement. The higher-ups were impressed, they want to take your ideas to the next level. Emma barely had time to process that bit of information. Ryan caught her eye, a fire igniting within her as a million questions fought to surface. We should capitalize on this momentum, he said, his voice steady, projecting confidence. We need a strategy for the clients we'll present to. Your insights will be crucial. His gaze held her, and Emma felt that spark of rivalry igniting again. She longed to meet his expectations, to not let the illusion of respect slip away. But deep down, the thought of leading made her stomach churn. What if a misstep shattered their faith in her? Emma took a deep breath, pushing those thoughts aside. "Okay," she said, forcing a smile. "Let us lay out what we need to do for the presentation." As they convened around the conference room table, ideas bounced back and forth like a game of pinball. Emma felt her confidence surfacing as she facilitated the discussion. She saw the way everyone engaged, how their energy fed off her enthusiasm. It was exhilarating. Then, moments later, just as Emma was about to present a new concept, an alert chimed from the corner of the room. The large screens flickered, flashing warnings, and then, there it was, the ominous message indicating another system failure. "Not again." Emma gasped, heart sinking. Panic began to wave through the group, the chatter immediately halting. "Emma," Ryan said, his eyes piercing into hers. "What do we do?" Caught between the rising tide of dread and the hope she dekindled, Emma's instincts kicked in. "Let's address this together," she said, tone steadying as she took control. "Remember how we pulled through last time? We're capable of this." But as she looked around the room, she noticed uncertainty lingering in the air. Could they trust her again? Would they still follow her lead? She stood there, adrenaline coursing through her. Would this moment define her? Would it be a stepping stone or a crushing blow? Emma clenched her fists, ready to dive deep, but she couldn't help but wonder if she really had what it took. Emma took a breath, the air heavy with tension. She glanced at her teammates. Their faces mirrored the uncertainty buzzing around the room. Time slowed as she realized the stakes had never felt higher. "Okay, let us not panic," she called out, her voice cutting through the silence. "We've overcome this before. We've got the talent in this room to tackle anything." Marissa nodded, visibly shaking but forcing a smile. "You're right, Emma. We just need to break this down like we did last time." The suggestion sparked an idea. "Yes. Let us assign roles based on our strengths. Marissa, you handle the IT side. Alex, look into what our clients need to keep them happy. Ryan, let us focus on communication, keeping the clients informed and reassured." Each person nodded, and for a moment, Emma felt their collective determination lift her spirit. They were a team. They had each other's backs. Just as they began to break apart, Emma raised her hand. "And me? I'll work on a buy-in strategy. If we convince clients that we've got this, they'll stick with us." "Perfect." Ryan chimed in, a new light in his eyes. Emma felt her heart race with a mix of fear and excitement. It was now or never. The team swiftly fell into action. Marissa was at her computer, fingers flying as she communicated with IT, finding out where the system had gone wrong. Alex darted around, gathering intel, while Ryan held conference calls with the clients to keep everyone updated. Emma could feel the energy shifting, pushing against the fear like a strong current. Minutes turned to an hour, and the air grew thick with urgency. Emma tapped her pen against her notebook, thoughts racing. In her mind, she visualized the successful presentation they would one day deliver. But lurking behind that thought was a nagging worry: what if it wasn't enough? "I've got the reports," Marissa announced, sliding the papers across the table. "It doesn't look good, but we have pinpointed the main issue." "Great work," Emma said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. As they worked through the data together, everything fell into place. It wasn't just about combating the panic, it was about creating hope. Emma could feel the bond strengthening among her teammates, each of them contributing their best. Hours later, after much debate and strategizing, they finally laid out a plan. "All right, let us authorize the emergency protocol and communicate our solution to the clients," Emma declared, resolve setting in her voice. Ryan stood taller, admiration evident in his eyes. "That was amazing, Emma. You held us together." But even as she absorbed the compliment, doubts still lingered. What if, despite their best efforts, the clients remained skeptical? What if the next misstep came from her? They executed the plan. Emma instructed, leading with clarity and purpose. Minutes ticked by like hours, anxiety hanging thick in the air. Finally, just as they were wrapping up, the phone buzzed on the table. Ryan looked down, and the color drained from his face. It's the CEO. Emma's heart raced faster than she thought possible. What does it say? I don't know, he murmured, glancing at the screen frozen in his hands. But I think it's important. His voice trailed off, and Emma's heart sank. Intuition gnawed at her. This must be a game changer. Would this meeting save her team, or would it seal their fate? As uncertainty loomed overhead, Emma realized one thing: the moment of truth was coming, and she had to be ready for whatever it might bring. Ryan's hands shook as he passed the phone to Emma. You should read it. She took the device cautiously, her pulse hammering in her ears. The screen glowed ominously, the words blurring as her mind raced. A few uncomfortable moments passed before she managed to focus. The message was brief yet loaded. Urgent, Team's credibility is on the line. Please explain the plan and outcomes. Immediate feedback essential. The severity of the message crashed over her like a wave. Their credibility? The pressure felt like a weight pressing against her chest. So much was riding on this, and they were already walking a tightrope. Okay, Emma breathed out, determined to mask her fear. We've come this far. Let us take this step by step. She turned to Ryan, Marissa, and Alex, their faces lit by the blue glow of the phone screen. We need to present a clear outline of our strategy. They can't afford to see us in disarray. Marissa nodded, her voice steady though a shadow of worry crossed her features. I'll dive deep into the analytics. We need solid data backing our claims. I'll talk to the clients again, Ryan added, steeling himself. Make sure they know we're on it and that they can trust us. Good, and I'll fine-tune the communication. We can't afford any missteps now, Emma said, glancing between them. We have to make them see how we're fixing things. With a renewed sense of purpose, they scattered again, yet there was a sense of strain in the air. Emma's mind buzzed as she tried to piece everything together. They needed a compelling narrative, one that would not only explain the crisis but also illustrate their swift response. Time slipped away as they worked. Marissa crunched numbers, her brow furrowed in concentration. Alex connected with clients, passionately assuring them that they were addressing each concern. Emma felt her fingers grazing the keyboard, typing and deleting phrases that didn't feel right. She was searching for the perfect way to inspire confidence when she heard a soft knock at the door. Can I come in? It was Lena, the janitor's daughter, who often shadowed her father around the building. Emma smiled warmly, a breath of relief cutting through her anxiety. Lena had a bright smile that filled the room with infectious energy. Of course. We could use some fresh perspective, honestly, Emma replied, gesturing for Lena to step inside. What is going on? She asked, concern creeping into her eyes as she regarded the tense atmosphere. Emma took a moment. We're facing a major setback. The CEO just messaged with a demand for clarity on our plan to fix things. It's been a long day. Maybe I can help. Lena said with a burst of enthusiasm. I overheard a conversation about something similar a while back. At school, we had an issue with our website, and someone suggested a new program that really turned things around. Emma raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Really? What program? As Lena began explaining, outlining ideas and concepts that had flickered through her mind, Emma felt a flicker of hope spark. This was the kind of fresh idea they needed, something bold and innovative. In my math class, we learned a technique that helped deconstruct our problems step by step, Lena continued, her eyes lighting up as she built her thoughts. For every moment Lena spoke, Emma felt the tightness in her chest ease slightly. Maybe we can incorporate something like that, Emma pondered aloud. If we break the issues into manageable parts, it could present the problem-solving process clearly to the CEO and clients. The possibilities danced around in Emma's mind. Lena, you might be onto something big. Just then, her phone buzzed again, this time with a call from the CEO. A knot of anxiety gripped her once more. Would Lena's idea be enough to sway the CEO? Emma took a steadying breath, resolved to make this moment count. Well, she said, glancing at her teammates and then back at Lena, it's time to present our progress. Let us see if we can turn this situation around. As she prepared to speak, an unnerving thought crossed her mind: could they convince the CEO that they were still the right team for the job? With the call awaiting her answer, Emma faced her team, their trepidation palpable. She just hoped her next words wouldn't shatter their fragile resolve. Emma's heart raced as she answered the call, the weight of her team's hopes resting squarely on her shoulders. The screens in the room flickered in the dim light, illuminating anxious faces. She swallowed hard, trying to steady her voice. "Hello, Mr. Sinclair," she began, her tone professional despite the turmoil churning inside her. "I'm eager to discuss the updates on our project. We've been working tirelessly to address the concerns presented." "Eager? I'd say desperate is more like it," Emma, Sinclair's voice came back, clipped and pointed. "Your team's been floundering, and I need to know why I shouldn't cut my losses." She felt everyone's eyes on her, searching for confidence, reassurance. "We've identified the key issues driving this situation. I think we can explain our holistic approach in a way that not only clarifies our current position but showcases the innovative solutions we've derived." "Go on," Sinclair replied, his tone half interested, half skeptical. Emma glanced at Lena, who was nodding as if to reinforce her confidence. "First, we realized that our previous framework lacked adaptability. So, based on a method my team developed combined with insights from Lena, a brilliant student who suggested breaking down our obstacles, I believe we can provide concrete, step-by-step solutions that will not only solve our current problems but enhance our overall efficiency." There was silence on the other end of the line, and Emma could almost hear Sinclair weighing her words. "A school kid's idea?" he finally asked, the disbelief evident. "Do you really think that's what we need right now?" Lena leaned closer, her excitement bubbling over. "But it isn't just about that, sir. It's about recognizing the challenge in pieces. We could implement a modular approach, reassess our priorities, and focus on immediate, actionable steps. It's about seeing the whole picture by concentrating on specific areas." Emma felt a surge of hope as she saw Sinclair's frown soften, if only marginally. "I see," he murmured, clearly intrigued. "You think you can get this done in time to salvage the project?" "Yes, absolutely," Emma replied, finding her stride now. "If you trust us with this strategy, we can present a clearer, more effective solution to both our clients and the upper management by the end of this week." Another silence came, heavy with expectation. The air crackled around them as they held their breath, waiting for his response. The seconds ticked away, each one stretching unbearably long. Finally, Sinclair spoke, his voice a touch more measured. "Very well then. I'll give you that time. But know this: I expect results. If you can't deliver, don't expect to stay on." "Understood," Emma said, relief flooding her as she hung up. The moment she finished the call, a mixture of cheers and sighs erupted in the room. "Great job, Emma!" Marissa exclaimed, her earlier anxiety forgotten. Ryan grinned, his confidence returning. "You nailed it." Lena beamed at Emma, her excitement genuine and infectious. "Can I help more? I really think we have something great we can share." "Absolutely," Emma replied, still riding high from the victory. "You're part of this team now." Emma glanced at the clock, acutely aware they had a massive task ahead. "We need to turn our discussions into action fast." As they dispersed to brainstorm, Emma couldn't shake the nagging thought at the back of her mind. What if the solutions they crafted weren't just innovative enough? What if this attempt wasn't enough to truly reshape their credibility from this point forward? With every piece they constructed, the stakes were steadily rising. Each idea built upon the last, yet the pressure loomed larger than before. Would they be able to pull off a miracle, or were they simply stalling for time? As laughter and urgency spurred activity around her, Emma felt the weight return, but now it was suffused with determination. This was their chance for redemption, but the sense of dread lingered, hovering just out of sight. The room buzzed with energy as ideas clashed and merged. Yet, in the midst of it all, Emma couldn't help but think, what happens when groundbreaking ideas aren't enough? As the clock ticked down, a bigger question loomed ahead: would they rise together or drown in the pressure of expectations? The atmosphere in the conference room shifted, crackling with both enthusiasm and anxiety. Emma rallied her team, their faces lit with a mix of determination and uncertainty. Everyone, let us focus on our top 3 ideas. We need to crystallize them into a cohesive plan. The clock is ticking. Lena swung into action, energized by Emma's call to arms. What if we create a visual framework to represent our modular approach? Seeing it laid out could clarify our concepts and demonstrate their impact more effectively. Great idea. Ryan chimed in. We can illustrate how breaking down the project into phases makes sense. It'll be easier to digest for Sinclair and other stakeholders. As discussions flowed, Emma's heart soared momentarily. They seemed to be channeling their fear into creativity, crafting something that felt tangible and innovative. But as they dove deeper into the specifics, shadows of doubt crept back in. It was easy to talk about solutions, but could they really execute them in time? All right, let us assign roles, Emma suggested. Lena, you take the lead on the visual presentation. Ryan, work on the data to support our points. Marissa, you're great with words. Can you draft an executive summary that ties everything together? They agreed, setting off in different directions, but as Emma stood alone for a moment, her gaze drifted to the clock again. Time felt like sand slipping through her fingers. She took a deep breath, trying to dispel the anxious thoughts. Focus, Emma, she whispered to herself. As they worked, Emma moved among her team members, encouraging them, offering help, and gathering pieces of their thoughts together. She could feel the walls closing in. She needed this to work. More than anything, she wanted to prove Sinclair wrong. They weren't the floundering team he thought. They could turn things around. Emma, check this out. Lena called, her eyes wide with excitement. On the screen, the initial framework Lena had created began to take shape as colorful charts and striking pathways flowed from one module to the next. That's amazing! Emma exclaimed, her spirits lifted. The possibility was tangible. They could show Sinclair something he hadn't considered, a fresh perspective wrapped in a neat package. But just as quickly, the panic's pulse fluttered in her chest again. There was still so much to do. As the hours wore on, they hit snags. Their ideas faltered, feedback was critical, and despair threatened to creep back in. Emma gathered her team. Let us not lose sight of why we're doing this. We have each other's backs. We can solve this together. Others nodded, but uncertainty flickered in their eyes. Marissa sighed heavily. What if it's just not enough? What if we're not enough? An uncomfortable silence settled. Emma felt the weight of the world press down. They weren't just facing a deadline. If they failed, jobs would be lost, futures jeopardized. She locked eyes with Lena, whose hopeful expression calmed her. We are enough, Emma said firmly. We've come this far, and we won't stop now. They rallied around her words with a renewed spirit. One by one, they fine-tuned their plans, motivated by a mix of fear and hope. The camaraderie surged back. Let us refine and finalize this presentation, Emma encouraged. We're going to win Sinclair over. We have to. Just as they began to feel some traction, the room fell into a hushed anticipation as Ryan glanced at the digital clock on the wall. 15 minutes to go. Panic returned like a shadow. Emma felt her stomach drop. The presentation wasn't perfect. Doubts gripped her mind. Did they truly have everything together? What would Sinclair say? In that moment, she realized they couldn't dwell on hypotheticals. They needed to step forward. All right, everyone. Let us be proud of what we've built. Let the presentation reflect the passion and hard work we poured into it. As they prepared to present, Emma stole one last look at her team's hopeful faces. Just as she opened her mouth to speak, an urgent ping came through on her phone. It was Sinclair. Be prepared for anything. I've heard troubling news on our system performance, it read. Emma's heart pounded. What now? Was this a sign? Or just a distraction? With the seconds melting away, a new urgency flared within her. They had to step into the unknown together. Would they face the impending crisis, or would it unravel everything they had fought for? Emma's heart raced as she stared at the message. Sinclair's words echoed in her mind, troubling news. The air in the conference room felt heavy, pressing down on them like a thundercloud about to burst. Guys! I just got a message from Sinclair, she blurted, making sure everyone was listening. The flicker of hope in her chest began to dim. He's concerned about the system performance. We'll need to be ready for questions. She watched her team's expressions harden, anxiety creeping back into their features. Do you think he's going to back out of the meeting? Ryan asked, his brow furrowing. Emma took a deep breath, trying to frame her thoughts. No. No, he won't. We've worked too hard for that. We just need to show him we're prepared, even if things don't go exactly as planned. Lena, can you incorporate a safeguard into your visuals? Something to address performance issues? Lena nodded quickly, her fingers gripping the keyboard. I can get that done. Just a few touch-ups to include potential risks and how we'll manage them. Emma felt a spark of encouragement. They were thinking on their feet, adapting to the danger that had suddenly loomed over them. All right. Focus, people. Emma declared, her voice cutting through the tension. Let us pool our thoughts. What other obstacles could Sinclair bring up? We need to be ready for everything. Ideas began to fly around the room again, the usual energy returning like a long-lost friend. Emma could almost feel the wheels turning in their heads, new plans taking shape. They outlined ways to enhance the project's integrity, safety nets they could put in place, and contingencies for clients. Minutes shrank into seconds as they huddled tighter, their voices overlapping in passionate bursts. But just as they found a rhythm, the digital clock blinked. 5 minutes, Ryan said, disbelief lining his voice. Lena's eyes darted to the screen. I'm almost done with the revisions, hold on. Keep pushing, Lena. Emma called out, adrenaline surging. We're on the home stretch. With one last glance at her message, she fought against the rising panic within her. The clock may be ticking down, but her team was working in sync. The camaraderie felt electric, the kind that ignited hope, even in the face of uncertainty. Okay, in 3 minutes, we walk in there and own our presentation. Emma declared, a fierce drive coursing through her. Remember, we're not just showcasing ideas, we're showing how we adapt. It's about resilience. Lena finished updating her visuals, and the words on the screen crystallized into something beautiful, colorful and dynamic, each point telling a story. It was an image of strength, of overcoming challenges. Marissa scribbled notes for her summary, weaving Emma's vision into infectious enthusiasm, her words like a lifeline for the others. This is it, people, this is us. Just as they were about to regroup, the office door swung open, and Sinclair stepped in, his expression grave. He was flanked by a couple of top executives, and the atmosphere shifted again. Emma, Sinclair started, eyeing the room critically, I need a status update on everything fast. As he surveyed the scene, Emma's heart raced. Her thoughts clashed within her. This was their moment. Would they rise to meet it or falter under pressure? What would happen if Sinclair turned his gaze to their presentation, ready to pick apart every detail? Doubts flitted across her mind, but she pressed them down. Everyone, let us present. Emma shouted, the urgency in her voice ringing out. Before she approached Sinclair, a fleeting idea brushed against her mind. What if the very solution they crafted could be the answer to the system's performance issue? Before she stepped into the spotlight, she glanced back at the team. Could they possibly transform this moment of crisis into an opportunity? The next few breaths felt like a lifetime as she squared her shoulders, ready to face him. And as she opened her mouth to begin, she wondered, was there more at stake here than just their workplace? What if they really could change everything? Emma stood at the front of the conference room, the weight of her team's hopes resting heavily on her shoulders. Sinclair's presence loomed large, his skeptical gaze cutting through the air like a knife. But she felt a flicker of determination reignite within her. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Sinclair, she began, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. We've developed a concrete plan that addresses all the concerns and demonstrates how we can improve system performance. She stepped aside as Lena's vibrant visuals lit up the screens, each slide sparkling with potential. This approach isn't just about fixing what went wrong, Emma continued, the excitement buzzing in her voice. It's about reshaping our entire structure to become more resilient, to turn challenges into opportunities. As she spoke, she noticed the executives leaning in, their expressions shifting from skepticism to curiosity. Ryan piped up, we realize that modularization allows for adaptability. If one part fails, others can still operate smoothly. It's smart and practical. The resonance of his confidence echoed through the room, revitalizing their cause. Here! Lena exclaimed, pointing at one of the graphics. If we break down our issues and tackle them step by step, not only do we resolve current problems, but we also enhance our overall efficiency. Each word felt like a hammer striking a nail, driving their point home. Emma could see Sinclair's brow furrow with thought. As the presentation progressed, Emma felt hope surging. They were connected, a team, a unit working toward one common goal. They bounced ideas off each other, each detail building stronger sides to their structure. As Emma engaged the executives, a feeling of belonging washed over her, yet, just as they began to address potential risks and safeguards, Sinclair raised an eyebrow. But how can you assure me that the performance issues from yesterday won't happen again? What if your solutions falter? He questioned, his tone probing. Emma hesitated for a split second, the weight of vulnerability pressing against her. But then she remembered the lessons her mother had instilled in her: resilience, grit, determination. We're ready for that, she said, her voice rising above her doubts, unity radiating in her words. We've built contingencies into our proposal, including real-time monitoring tools to adapt instantly to any system stress. Our focus is on accountability. If something does fail, we can fix it fast. She saw the executives exchange glances, and her heart raced. This isn't just a patch, it's a new foundation. She took a breath, realizing the power of her ideas was backed by the hard work and collaboration of her whole team. We believe in this, every one of us does. And when we stand together, our strength multiplies. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Sinclair nodded slowly, a small glimmer of approval edging his lips. All right, you've laid out a compelling case. I'll give you time. But remember, talk is cheap. I expect results. Relief flooded through the room, but amid the cheers that erupted, Emma felt a knowing squeeze of uncertainty in her heart. What if this was just the beginning of more challenges? Would her team really pull through? As they celebrated their first win, Emma caught Ryan's eye. There was a new respect there, a shared understanding. I'm proud of you all, she said, beaming around the room. This is our moment. Let us build from here. Days turned into weeks, and as they worked tirelessly, Emma found her footing. Project milestones celebrated, camaraderie strengthened, and the voices of doubt began to fade into whispers. Sinclair took notice, giving her more responsibilities, but she faced them with confidence. She transformed from a girl whose world was towered by others into a leader who inspired hope. One evening, she found herself walking alongside her mother, reflecting on everything that had happened. "It all started with a little courage," she said, smiling. Her mother's eyes glistened with pride. "And hard work always opens doors." They reached the park, where children played, and families gathered. Emma felt lighter than she had in a long time. The future looked bright, and she swore she could see the path before her shimmering with possibility. Then, brightened by newfound trust, Emma felt a powerful urge to engage with the world beyond those office walls. There were others like her, waiting for their chance to shine. She turned to her mom and declared, "Let us help others find their voice too." The journey wasn't just personal, it was collective. Empowering your community became her mission. And if there was one thing she had learned, it was that resilience wasn't just a trait, it was a movement. So she stood there, hands intertwined with her mother's, a radiant smile stretched across her face. Emma knew this together, with heart, hope and courage, they were changing the world. Now, this is the moment you need to embrace. Do you want more inspiring stories like Emma's? Subscribe immediately to our channel and never miss a beat. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm that brings you these life-changing tales. Comment below your feelings about this transformation and share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to hear this inspiring message. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. Join our journey today.